And welcome, students, as we get into more stuff dealing with conditionals, but now we're going to take a segue into the actual evaluation process as we deal with Boolean expressions. And we're going to start off with simply discussing simple Boolean expressions. So as we get started today, recall that we've talked about using if-then statements, or if-else statements rather, to test if a condition was true or false. All right. So we use if something is true, then do this. Else, if it's true, do this other thing. Well, that true and false are the outputs of a Boolean condition. Remember, we've talked about different types. We talked about ints, doubles, chars, all that stuff. Boolean is a type that simply just means true or false. Now, any conditional code we write is simply to test something, whether it's true or whether it's false. Like, ultimately, that's the purpose of it. So a simple expression such as time is less than limit is an example of a Boolean expression. When we look at our comparative operators, we've seen a lot of these already before. Less than, greater than, equal to, not equal to, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. Now, when we compare using equals equals, we actually want to avoid using just a single equal sign. I've already mentioned this, but you want to avoid the single equal sign because that is, when it's single equals, it's for assigning a value, not for comparing a value. All right? In Java, a single equal sign literally means, hey, Java, assign a value to this. So instead, we want to use a double equal sign to tell Java, hey, can you see if this first thing is equal to something else? Because if it is, I want to do something with it. Now, we've been already using Boolean expressions in our if-else statements. Time is less than limit, balance is less than or equal to 10, etc. Boolean expressions by themselves do not need to necessarily be enclosed in parentheses. So if you just say, hey, time is less than limit, and just because you want to say like bool value equals time is less than limit, and you just want to store it as true or false, you don't need to put parentheses here. However, if you're using it inside an if-else statement, which is the most common place you're going to see it, or maybe inside of a loop, you're going to want to put it inside of parentheses. Now, when we discuss the conditional operators, all right, let's take a look at code here. If n1 is greater than n2, max is equal to n1, else max is equal to n2. This can also be expressed technically using the conditional operator and then a colon. So a max equals n1 is greater than n2, question mark, n1 colon n2. So it's the same thing, it's just it's another styling format. Now, for our purposes, we're going to continue using if-else statements when constructing Boolean expressions. The other way is simply just another styling convention you can do. It's kind of like a shorthand is a way you can think about using it. Now, comparing strings, we do not, and I repeat, do not want to use equals equals for strings. All right, it's a very common mistake that people use in Java that it's like, oh, well, I'll just use equals equals on the strings. Well, this is going to kind of throw an error as equals equals is for primitive types only, such as int. All right, it won't exactly throw a syntax error, but it might throw a logical error that you will not catch. Your program won't catch it either. It's like, oh, I'm going to compare these two strings and we use equals equals. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. All right, instead we want to use the string method dot equals. String dot equals other string, string dot equals ignore case other string. And the reason for this is when we talk later on, we'll talk about referencing. Equals equals uses referencing of objects, and strings in Java are objects. So when you create the strings, what you're ultimately doing is you're comparing to see whether those two objects, those two strings, are the same location in memory, not if they have the same value. And for our purpose, we want to see if they have the same value. So for example, if string 1 dot equals hello, we can have its output, the string is hello. All right. Now notice this is a hard-coded in value. All right. So string 1 dot equals hello. We can also, of course, substitute this right here in for another variable string name. So it could be like if s1 dot equals s2. All right. So you can use those in your program to give you more flexibility. All right. And that's going to wrap up the notes, folks. So until next time.